All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to deconstruct a really fascinating strategy for YouTube that's designed for the very near future. It's called the 7-Minute Authority Blueprint, and it's all about how to thrive in a world that's changing incredibly fast. So let's get to it.
So here's the game plan. We'll start by looking at the new YouTube landscape and this huge shift towards something called viewer satisfaction. Then we're going to dive deep into the three core pillars of the strategy: the niche, the system, and the proof. And finally, we'll see how it all ties together to build a real community, something that goes way beyond just chasing view counts.
Okay, first up, the new YouTube landscape. Before we can appreciate the solution, we have to really understand the problem. So, what is the core challenge that this entire blueprint is built to solve? And this quote right here, it just nails it. The big challenge for creators in 2026 isn't just about getting seen. It's about proving that you're the real deal in an absolute ocean of low-quality, AI-generated slop that, sounds convincing but doesn't actually work. Now, this tidal wave of content isn't just changing what we're watching, it's also changing where we're watching. The blueprint calls this the living room economy, and it's a massive shift in how people behave that pretty much changes everything for creators. And here's the data that really drives that point home. When so many people, especially the younger generation, are watching on their big screen TVs, their expectations are just different. They're leaning back, looking for a more premium, almost documentary-like experience, not just some quick disposable clip on their phone. So, if viewers are craving a more premium experience, how is YouTube itself reacting? Well, that brings us to the viewer satisfaction rule. This is really the why behind this entire strategy. It's the fundamental change in how the algorithm works that shapes everything else. The magic word here is VSAT, or viewer satisfaction. It's not about the click anymore. See, YouTube is competing with the big streaming services, so its algorithm is now built to reward content that leaves people feeling genuinely satisfied. So satisfied that they want to come back for more. It's a shift from a short-term hookup to a long-term relationship. And this change has very real consequences. The old game, it was all about gaming the system with flashy thumbnails to get a high click-through rate. But the new game is all about earning trust, and that's measured by new things, like post-watch surveys, whether people come back to watch you again, and how long they stay on YouTube after watching your video. So that brings us to the very first pillar in this blueprint, the niche. In a world this noisy and crowded, how in the world do you even get started? How do you build your own little fortress, your own moat? By being specific. Well, the answer this strategy gives isn't to be louder, it's to be sharper. It's this idea of a micro-niche moat, building a defensible, super specialized area of expertise where that generic AI content just can't touch you.
So how do you actually do that? You get hyper-specific. You don't just talk about marketing. No, you talk about a very specific topic for a very specific audience. When you serve those little gaps that no one else is paying attention to, you're sending a massive signal to the YouTube algorithm that your stuff delivers incredibly high satisfaction to a dedicated group. You become their go-to person.
Okay, so you've carved out your niche. Awesome. Now what? How do you actually get people to find you? That's where the second pillar comes in, the system. This isn't about just randomly uploading and hoping for the best. It's about engineering the whole discovery process. The strategy here is what's called a hybrid discovery system, and it uses two types of content that work together perfectly. Shorts are your hook. They're your quick, 60-second aha moments that reel people in. But the long-form videos, that's where you build real authority. Those are the masterclasses that get people coming back again and again, which is exactly what that VSAT algorithm is looking for. And a really critical part of this system is simply respecting the viewer's time. By using chapters and timestamps, you let your audience jump straight to the exact piece of value they came for. And that's not just a nice little feature. It's another powerful signal to the algorithm that you are providing a top-tier, high-satisfaction experience. All right, now for the third and final pillar. And in an age of AI, this might just be the most important one of all, the proof. It is all about winning trust by showing, not just telling, that you're authentic. This leads to this amazing concept called authenticity arbitrage. In a market that is flooded with fake expertise, your real, messy, lived human experience is your single greatest competitive advantage. It's the one thing that AI simply cannot fake. So how do you do it? Well, first, you think of yourself as the chef, not the prep cook. Use AI to do the research, to chop the vegetables, but the final recipe, the strategy, that has to be yours. Second, show your work, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And third, you position yourself as a reporter from the front lines, sharing what's really happening, not just reading some generic script.
Okay, let's tie this all together now. Let's look beyond the view count. How does this blueprint take all these pieces and create a sustainable flywheel that turns a casual viewer into a member of a loyal, thriving community? The really big mental shift is to see your channel not as a monologue, but as a dialogue. You're not just broadcasting out into the void. It's a two-way street. It's a real conversation with the people who are choosing to spend their valuable time with you. And here's exactly how you make that conversation happen. The plan is to use your community tab for social listening. You poll your subscribers, you ask them what they're struggling with, and you let their answers become the topics for your next videos. And just like that, your subscribers go from being a passive audience to being your active advisors. This way of thinking goes all the way down to your call to action at the end of a video. Instead of the same old like and subscribe, you give them a guided next step. You point them to a playlist to continue learning or to the community tab to join the conversation. The end of one video becomes the beginning of a much deeper relationship. And that brings us to the final, really provocative question that this entire blueprint is built on. As we head deeper and deeper into a world of AI-generated everything, is that real, messy, demonstrable human connection the ultimate unbeatable algorithm? This strategy seems to suggest that the answer is a definite yes.